Hello, this is Pastor Josue Padilla, and I just wanted to come to you to talk to you about peace in the midst of the storm. And I've been driving around Houston today, and it's been pretty rainy and stormy and dark clouds and gloomy and just a lot of flooded areas and just flash flood warnings. A couple of days ago in Dallas, there was flash flood warnings all over Dallas. There were videos being posted through the news networks. A couple of weeks ago, there was a tornado up north, and then just a bunch of storms. You know, there's a saying that says that spring showers brings May flowers, but in order to be able to get to the flowers, you have to go through the storms. You have to go through the rain. And I wanted to talk to you about peace in the middle of the storm, because you know it's very interesting that we actually can't control the storm, but we can control how we react to it. And it reminds me of a story in the Bible when the disciples were going across on a boat to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, and they find themselves in the middle of the storm, and they've been sent out by Jesus. They've been told, go to the other side and I'll meet you on the other side. And in the middle of the storm, in the middle of the ocean and the water, the storm arises, and they find themselves in the middle of the storm, which they begin to fear that they were not going to make it across to the other side. Now, allow me to remind you something. The majority of the people on this boat, they're fishermen. They know how to handle the waters. They know how to manage a boat. But there are storms in which they just go beyond what you've handled before, and then it puts fear in your heart of the fact that you might not make it. And it's always been interesting to me to see that several fishermen who've probably endured other storms, who probably endured other situations in the middle of the water, they got to a point where fear took over their life, and they began to think or feel as if they were going to die. Have you ever had that moment? Have you ever been in a position like that where you've had other storms, you've had issues, you've had maybe a financial problem, a family problem, a kind of problem that you pretty much know how to handle, but then all of a sudden you hit this one storm that you don't know how to handle. Let me tell you something. One of the things that I've learned in life is you might not be able to manage this storm, but you can manage the way you handle the storm. So I just want to leave this with you. In the end of the story in the Bible that I mentioned to you, Jesus appears to them, and Peter sees Jesus. The disciples see Jesus, and they think he's a ghost. And Jesus says, "Hey, do not be afraid. It is I." And Peter says, "If it's you, why don't you let me walk on the water also the way you're walking on the water?" And Jesus says, "Come." I want to point this out to you because it is amazing to me how Peter steps out of the boat and walks on the water. Now, think of this. The water was the one that was destroying them inside the boat. The boat is doing its best in the water. Like the boat was meant to be in the water, but the fear inside of them made them feel as if they weren't going to make it. But when Jesus speaks into Peter's life, as he says, "Come," he says, "I want you to walk above, on top of the very thing that is destroying you." So I want you to think of it. Why don't you step out of the boat? Why don't you believe Jesus? Why don't you believe that this is not the end of it? And why don't you walk above or on top of that which is making you feel like you're not going to make it? From Fast Forward Life, here in Houston, Texas, this is Pastor Josue Padilla.